Hi, I'm Larry,
I'm Gret.
I'm Christy.
and welcome to Dangerous Drag Queens and Other Deviants.
A podcast about the outrageous and sometimes dark world of drag, gender, and sexual identity, and how communities facing stigmatization are making a positive impact just by living their lives out loud.
Brought to you by Virtual Arts.
Hi, everybody, I'm Larry.
I'm Gret.
And I'm Christy.
Welcome back to another episode of Dangerous Drag Queens and Other Deviants.
Today's guest is DJ Chauncey Dandridge, who DJs at the historic Stonewall Inn in New York and has lots of great projects and companies that he's advocating for. What a really fantastic conversation we had with him, and we hope you enjoy.
Hi, Chauncey.
Hi,
Today,
everybody.
our magnificent guest is Chauncey, DJ Chauncey, who is a DJ at the Stonewall Inn, among many, many other titles. And we're so happy to have you here. I feel like I know you because you're like the queen of social media.
The
Right.
dangerous queen of social media.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about, how you got into the whole social media thing and how you deal with it?
A series of events happened in like 2010, I would say. I've always been kind of like a one-man show, kind of like, put together events and promote fundraisers, promote rallies, promote protests, a little bit of everything. I volunteered all my life, but I had a strange turn of events in 2010 where I was supposed to move into an apartment in the East Village. And a couple of days before I moved, the person changed their mind. So I was kind of like in this weird limbo. And that kind of like, I don't know, put fire under me. And I kind of like really became this one-man show and started producing events and really upping my brand, so to speak, as the kids call it. So like the dawn of social media happened when I was going through that like jet fueled moment of let's make this happen. And I started to become like the person people asked where's the protest, or where's the good drag show to go to. Like I kind of became a person that people would ask, or hey, do you know anybody who does this? And I became a really good connector. And I love the idea of people that haven't met, and one needs this skill and one has that skill, and I am able to say, hey, meet this guy, because they'll be able to do what you need them to do. So I just love being the conduit.
What a great job to have.
Yeah. I mean, I'm celebrating in a week and a half my 22nd year as a DJ in New York City.
Wow.
And in those years, I've done countless fundraisers for a gazillion different LGBT organizations. But I come from a family of volunteers. My mom was always active in school and all that kind of stuff. My father was big in the town. One of my brothers helps run a camp for handicapped kids. My other brother, they were both coaches. My father was a coach. A lot of community building in my family, So, but yeah, but we all have our thing. Me and my two brothers, we all have our 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 fish to fry. Is that what it's called? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our drum to beat. I don't know.
I was amazed at the variety, the scope of who you support and what you do. I mean, there's everything from, as I was saying before, the transgender lawyer, promo that you put out there for fundraising, to Britney Spears sleepovers. I mean,
Yeah,
you're
I'm a huge Madonna fan, so I do a party called Madonna Worship every year. I've been doing that party for 16 years now. And one of my coworkers, his Madonna is Britney. I said, hey, you want the place that I'm doing the party at like sent out an ask if anyone wants to do an event in late November, let us know. And I was like, Britney's birthday's in early December, late November, right? And he's like, yeah. I go, do you want to do a party? He's like, sure. So I realize why I'm single is because I don't have any time for myself, never mind a boyfriend, but or even to date. But I like to have my cup runneth over, I guess. I don't know. I just like to be involved in a whole bunch of things going on in the city. But my big thing right now, my big crusade, so to speak, is I've worked with drag queens most of my DJ career. my first gig was at the Urge in the East Village. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or if you've ever been. And I used to work with Gusty Winds back then in Cachetta.
I
Yeah,
loved
yeah,
Cachetta.
rest in peace, Cachetta. And we used to do a party called Money Wheel, which was like bingo. But we had different prizes and stuff like that. It used to be called the drag suicide, where the drag queen, they call it a drag roulette now. I think me and Gusty might have invented the drag roulette back then, because I used to throw songs at her for like a minute and a half. But I used to have to
Wow.
pop the new CD in and find the spot in the song.
Yeah.
And we do it for like a half hour, and people loved it because she didn't know what I was about to play. And I would trick her and try to like sabotage her so that she would make a fool out of herself. So I don't know who else was doing it back then, but we didn't have a name for it, but we did that. And I love drag queens. Drag queens have been my best friends. I've been fans of many drag queens. I've worked with a lot of the queens that ended up on Drag Race. But my big crusade right now is to promote the fact that there are other ways that queer people express themselves, and there's a lot of really great queer musicians out there that I do monthly events to showcase them. So that's my big crusade, is to, you know, let people know that yes, drag is amazing and it's getting its due, but there's also some really amazing music coming out of fellow queer people. And I personally think, being a queer person, hearing a love song from a queer person's perspective is obviously a lot closer to what I'm feeling than, you know, some diva like Ariana or, you know, Mariah or whoever. So I want more people to know about these artists.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I worked with Cachetta, who I thought was just extraordinary, because Cachetta would just like walk into the room, throw on a wig, and then she'd perform.
Actually, Hachetta and I, back in Halloween 2002 or 3, we actually switched places, and she put me in her drag, and she DJ'd, and I hosted the bingo show.
I love that.
I was Bruschetta, her Italian cousin from Benson.
Oh my gosh.
Fabulous.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
I know you're talking about these the musicians. How are they being accepted, the queer musicians?
It's hard to gather an audience for them. It's really interesting. I'm going to be blatantly honest. I think for a long time, the music that was coming out of queer artists was not that refined and not of the quality of like music that's on the radio. Like even like gay movies were kind of, you know, like they were indie and they were not very well done because the funding and all that kind of stuff. But I think now the technology has advanced so much, you could have a person sitting in their bedroom for a week and produce a whole album and get it mastered, and it sounds just like what's on the radio. So I think people don't know that, like they don't, but like when people hear the music, they're blown away. So that's like my, you know, I want to make sure people know that there is good queer music coming out there, you know.
I think that each one of those niches is really, really important
Mhm.
to have as much exposure as possible, because
Yes.
unless somebody like you presents them, a lot of times we don't know that they are there, because what we do hear all the time is, and I love her, but is Ariana Grande or
Yeah.
whoever.
Yeah. Yeah. Even somebody had posted on Facebook the other day, like, that they miss when they used to go to a drag show and be introduced to a song rather than the drag queen doing all the top 40 songs that are popular. But knowing drag queens personally, those odd songs don't make them as much money, unfortunately. You know, like when they do the splits and the flips to, you know, a Whitney Houston song or Deborah Cox or Ariana or whoever, that's when they get their tips. So it's tough because drag is expensive, drag is very competitive. I always say there's a sewer lid on Christopher Street down by the water that opens up once a week and 5 new drag queens come out of it with smoke and strobe lights and stuff. Because they really, like, every time I turn around, there's like, oh, this is the new queen, new queen, new queen, new queen. And it's shocking because I'm like, drag is crazy to do if there are only 5 other drag queens to compete with. But I work with my friend Phil Chanel. We do a drag competition called Polish the Queen, where it's all new drag queens get their footing. And we have people, the judges give them constructive criticism, which a lot of competitions don't really have that little extra aspect. It's just kind of, you get voted whether you win or not. But he created this different formula where they actually feel like they're part of a community, and the queens, the more polished queens are helping out the newer ones refine their craft. So it's nice.
Love that.
Well, I mean, talk about niche. There's another, there's another one there. And also, I mean, when are they going to run out of amazing names?
I know. I tried to think of one drag name like per day almost. That used to be one of my favorite pastimes to do. My most recent one was a drag king name, and it might be taken, but and if you're on social media, you'll get it. Lincoln Bio.
Oh yes,
Oh yeah, that's great.
that's really good.
That's a good one.
Really good.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been taken.
The
But
last
Probably
I
somewhere.
always said there should be like a drag registry where like
Yes.
you type in a name and you're like, oh, it's not taken. Okay, good. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hannah Lettuce might be my all-time favorite drag queen.
Fantastic, yes.
We finally got to see each other on Fire. I used to work at East of 8th in Chelsea back in the day, and Hedda did a Monday night show, and that's how we got to become friends. And aside from her, like, she could go on for an hour without even singing a song, and it's hysterical, but her songs are always hysterical. But my favorite song by her is one of her originals. It's called Lipstick and Makeup. I don't think she does it anymore, but when I see her on Fire Island next year, I'm gonna have to request it.
Mm.
Because you brought it up, I am going to ask, being you have been doing this for quite a while now, have you noticed shifts in thinking or peaks and valleys and peaks in how people think about drag? And
I am noticing like the audience is much more of a blend of people, whereas it used to be a bunch of gay guys in a room being campy and enjoying the drag queen. Now it's like we get a lot of, not bachelorette parties, but we get straight girls, even straight guys, their girlfriend drags them there, no pun intended, dragging them there. But also I do notice that it's an equivalent to a groupie. Like some of these queens have their like young, even like DragCon. I've been to DragCon, and it's young, kind of like misfitty type kids, like definitely queer, definitely gender variant. They almost remind me of like Hot Topic kids from the 90s and the 2000s. Like it's the new version of them, and they love drag. They're very loyal to their queen, and they'll come to every show, and it's kind of cool to see. And the only other thing I do notice, like that Facebook post said, less queens are doing like those classic soul ballads that are like, rip your soul apart, and they're really emoting. Like like some of the queens will throw one of those in their set if they have a long show, but a lot of it is just wham bam, like shablam kind of, high kicks and but I also am noticing that, but this has always been around, like singing drag queens, like people like Sherry Vine, Lady Bunny sings as well, intermingled with their comedy and all that, parodies and stuff like that. So yeah, it's changed I think because it's so commercial. I think everyone thinks they're gonna end up on Drag Race one day.
I was going to say, you think Drag Race was kind of like the inflection
Yeah,
point, right?
because when did Drag Race come out? Like 15 years ago or 16?
Yeah, at
Probably.
least.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something
so
like that.
I was working with queens like a little before Drag Race. Even the first couple of years of Drag Race, people weren't that crazy. But I think maybe the last 10 or so years, everyone's like, this is my plan. I'm going to do this, and get on Drag Race. And a lot of them have,
How is the transgender lawyer fund? How is that coming along? Have you heard anything from them? I get some things from them now and then.
Yeah, well, it's called Grapevine. It's the donation website. You set your monthly donation, and they pick, it's called Trans Lives Thrive. So they pick different trans-led organizations every month to raise money for. So
Oh, okay.
every month I'll get an email of which place the money went to. And it's cool because if you get 100 people that donate $25 a month, that's a nice chunk of money, or it's probably more than 100,
Yes.
And it doesn't, the $25, you don't even miss it really, but when it's all together with all the other even 1,000 people, that's $25,000, to send to an organization. So to really, I'm trying to remember where I discovered it from. I think I was just following somebody and they posted about it, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I won't miss $25, and it's going towards a good cause that I discover a new organization every month, which is kind of fun.
I really like that part of it. I didn't realize that's what it was. That's
Yeah. I have it in my, like, you can set a charity in your post.
It's on your link tree.
That's what it
Yeah.
was. I work with Urban Bear NYC. We do a week of bear events in September, and we do some pride events and stuff like that, and monthly events. And that was our beneficiary this year of our street festival.
Mm.
There's a transgender law center. Yeah. So that's why that's up there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, extraordinary things are happening as well as ghastly, unbelievably awful things.
Mm-hmm.
That is the world.
Yeah, I came up with a new word last night. I don't know if it exists already, but it's feelingless.
Mm.
Kind of like being numb, but it's a little different. Feelingless.
I feel
Don't-
I get that. That is kind of where I am today.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not numb. I feel something. I just can't figure out what the feeling is.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that the problem really is that it used to be that, okay, if you lost, that everything was still going to be okay because in 4 years there was going to be an election.
Right.
And
The status quo would
know,
be maintained at least.
it's
Yeah.
different than you are, but it's not that different. And you can live side by side, with people. But now it's like I feel like I need to take a machete outside just in case some rabid Republican runs up and tries to attack me.
Yeah, it's so divided and so much fear and anger
And just difference.
a lot of
Different.
people are saying that we're not like the Democrats or liberals or whatever. We're not like tough enough, or we're not like, we don't fight like they do because that's not our that's not our deal. That's not our
Sure. Yeah.
MO. But also, do we need to get to that? Like, is there really going to be such a separation that we're gonna like, uh-oh, there's a red hat, like, look out,
Maybe.
they're gonna come and break the windows, At a moment of nervousness working at Stonewall last night,
Mm.
somebody was kind of walking around the outside, and I think they just kind of, maybe they were afraid to go in, or they weren't, but like, they just gave me the creeps in a weird way. Finally, he went in and he sat down and had drinks and was fine, but like, especially working there during Pride, working there during like, high profile events in the news, like, you get a little queasiness. You're like, is this the night that something's going to happen? Especially after Pulse.
Yeah.
Stonewall tends to be, another thing that I do is I do Stonewall history tours. I don't know if that's on
Oh, that's
my
fantastic.
LinkedIn either. Add another thing to keep me single. And one of the things I talk about is how Stonewall, I've been working there for 11 years now. It's a mecca for people from other countries, other cities, but it's also a place where we go to celebrate and a place where we go to mourn. So when the Pulse shooting happened, of course, like, we were like scared for a multitude of reasons, and sad and angry, but we were also on high alert, being the most famous gay bar in the world, pretty much, that we had like a guy with a like machine gun, like, guarding outside across the street for like a month. And the flowers and the candles got so big that you had to walk around. You couldn't walk down the block. So every day when we came to work, that was in June, every day you came to work, you got reminded, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it was a lot to absorb and to just feel like over and over again,
Yeah, and definitely I had worked at Pulse for a long time.
Wow.
I was doing a piece. So we rehearsed in there. And I don't know if you know Tony and Tina's Wedding at all, but there are scenes where some of the guys will go into the bathroom and they'll take somebody in and they'll smoke a joint with them. But but Juan and I were living in Hawaii at the time when that came out, and they were talking about how they went into those bathrooms, and I remember being in those bathrooms and rehearsing those things. I mean, I also remember being drunk at that bar and like licking somebody's boot standing right in front of me. I mean, I was so drunk right on the bar. But that changed. That did change the perspective of so much when that happened.
Mm.
Because we love especially our bars that are small and intimate, where we can kind of all crowd together and you feel this extraordinary energy. And it was so taken advantage of that night. It was just, really a sad thing. And, is that going to happen again? Probably, in some fashion, not with another gay bar, but, violence today is considered okay.
Yeah.
And listen, don't we just say, oh, wow, 3 people were killed in Omaha. Oh, wow. And Angelina Jolie, Lady Bunny singing a song about her. I mean, it's like, you just kind of go from one thing to the next. And we just don't think about these kind of tragic situations that happen. But,
Right.
I think, Chauncey, with people like you celebrating the lives of so many different people. And also, I'm just really pleased to be able to celebrate your life here because
thank you. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, but you really are somebody who cares about people. And it's easy to see on your social media, it's easy to see speaking with you, and really appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I do a monthly variety show that's like mostly queer artists, sometimes comedians. That's at Stonewall on the last Monday of the month. And I just started a new party at Red Eye on 41st and 9th. I think that's so Wednesday before Thanksgiving this month. It's called Trifecta. It's an idea that I had in my head where the headliner, there's three artists, the headliner and 2 supporting acts like singers. And then after that show, the headliner moves out and one of the supporting performers becomes the headliner.
Oh,
So
that's
like
cool.
the concert rotation. So they'll do 2 shows and then they'll rotate out and new so it'll constantly be, but it'll be this one of the same people from the month before will be in the next show. So it's like a revolving kind of a lazy Susan of queer talent. I gotta use that. I just came up with
A
that.
through line of queer talent. I love it.
Lazy
Fantastic.
Susan.
And that Susan Campanero is just the best, isn't she?
Oh my God. I can't imagine my life without her. Yeah. Susan is the queen of ad-libbing and improv. And we were doing piano bar on Monday nights upstairs at Stonewall. And she was taking off something. She's like, there's always a reveal. And I went, ding. And I said, oh my God, that's a song, that's such a song. And about 6 months later, I sat down and I wrote the lyrics and I sent them to Lynn at 1 a.m. And at 7 a.m., Lynn sent me a demo. And
Yes.
I
What?
love that.
Because she's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, it's on Spotify. You could look up either Lynn Portis Reveal or Chauncey Dandridge Reveal. She's singing it. I wrote the lyrics, and our friend Brutal Bill Marquez, her friend, produced it. But that was a dream come true. I have my own songs out with my friend from Montreal, Van Hester. He's a Canadian pop star, and we have a whole EP coming out, of really gay, disco, fun, campy stuff, but with a message underneath. I sing on those songs with him, but this was so cool to write the lyrics. Somebody turned it into a song, and it's on Spotify, and I could use it in a Facebook story, like in an Instagram story. Like that's the most exciting thing about having music out in the world, is that you can actually use it on social media. Like, holy cow, this is my song,
Well, thank you so much. It has been so great.
Definitely.
Really quick before we let you go, where can folks follow you to find out more information if they want to come to one of those Mondays at Stonewall or
Yeah.
want to look for your EP? Where should they go?
Yeah, if you go to on Instagram, I'm at DJ Chauncey D. I have a website, House of Dandridge, but I don't update it as much as I used to, but you can always find everything there too. I usually put the big events, and in my bio is my link tree. You can subscribe to it, so whenever I add a link to it. I put all events, my own projects, places to donate. Yeah, just follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I have a Facebook page too, DJ Chauncey D. I'm pretty much DJ Chauncey D throughout all the websites.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Chauncey.
No, thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And listen, onward, upward.
I know we're gonna get through it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be trouble, but it's gonna be a lot of trouble, but
Yeah, and the reality is the reality, and it's been hard before, it's been tough before, and this I think is going to be tough, probably. I don't know.
I also feel too that being a white person, I have to like whenever we did during Black Lives Matter rallies and stuff like that, or Trans Lives Matters rallies, the white people would get between the trans people and the police so that and I feel like that needs to be done figuratively and physically. Like we have to do a lot of work because I have it easy. I mean, my one crutch is that I'm queer, but I don't get followed around in a store. I don't get, I have no fear of being deported. I have no fear of, I could walk into any place and pretty much get a job. You know what I mean? Like if I really wanted to. So I have to use my privilege in reverse, sort of, and like try to make more marginalized people make their lives better or safer or freer.
Chauncey, thank you.
No, thank you.
First of all, it's just, Chauncey is amazing, and for him to have worked at the Stonewall all of those years and to have come in contact with the extraordinary people that he has. I mean, he's like, the Google of drag queens in some ways, because, he's seen everybody perform, and, he's been there with them, held their hands, helped shape them, and spun their records. He's a major diva.
Just to put us in place and time, we're recording this on November 6th, which was the day after Election Day. And so it was really nice for me to have this conversation today, honestly, personally, because I was feeling very heavy, and it was nice to speak to a person who is a light.
Yeah, a bit despondent, that bit of the conversation we were talking about, not feeling really numb, but not really feeling anything defined as well. It feels like we're sort of in this despondency or purgatory, weird purgatory, weird election purgatory, I guess. I don't know.
I felt so relieved last night. I had made up my mind that Trump was winning. Began watching a movie on Netflix for the first time in a long time, because my mind has really been fighting all of the horrible things and the lies that have come out of the Trump organization. And I thought, I don't know how caught up in it anymore I can get when all of those lies gave him success.
Right.
What are we fighting for?
Right.
America's not fighting for decency. Maybe they're going to say, it was immigration and the economy, but do you really choose those over decency? I can't understand. It's not what I was taught.
And Chauncey brought up a good point too. How do you fight for decency and humanity, keeping decency and humanity in that fight against people who don't care about decency and humanity? What do you do? How do you change the tactic? You can't lose the decency and humanity. It is the core of what you're fighting for.
I'm not going to change. I don't want to. This whole thing was hate orchestrated. And I can't imagine that a Democrat is ever going to do that.
Right. I'm paraphrasing a quote from somewhere, but I won't allow someone to make me hate them.
Mm.
I just won't allow that. I won't allow that to seep into my being. I'm not even sure I am capable of that seeping into my being. And I'm with you, Larry. I don't want to change that. I don't want to turn to violence. I don't want to turn to deception. I don't want to turn to stepping on other people's backs.
Yeah, I mean, I hate. So, I do hate. But I hate. I
I get
hate
it.
what's coming at us.
I really think Chauncey hit it on the nose when he said feelingness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
feeling less. That's what it was, right?
Feelingless. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been just in that headspace all day of I like can't even put words to it. I don't even have the feelings yet. He was so right. And because I was feeling that way, I actually looked up on social media a friend of mine, Micah Busey. He does these things where he's got tiny prayers, and I knew he would have one today. So if I could just read it as kind of like a little epilogue. His prayer today was a tiny prayer for those who need to fume today. May you give yourself the permission you require, knowing that the ground feels shaky, the air feels thick, the future feels scarily uncertain, and then may you reconstitute this anger into action, connecting with those who are also transforming their rage into a radical recommitment to love, trusting that the sparking electric current presently flowing through your body is simply seeking redirection in order to refuel your continued participation in our hopeful revolution. Amen.
Beautiful.
And amen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful prayer. I just can't get behind that prayer right now.
Well, hopefully we get there. Hopefully we get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll always be our favorite deviant, Larry. Just onward
Yep.
and upward.
So
Yep. And Gret and I are already planning the fundraisers for your bail.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, thank you.
Love you.
Love you and ciao.
Love you so much.
Bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Dangerous Drag Queens and Other Deviants, as well as Virtual Arts on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. And be sure to check us out at www.virtualartsproductions.org for all our latest projects.
And if you like what you hear, please share it with a friend. That's all for now. Keep living dangerously and on your own terms.